Hey guys, welcome back to HeyBucket Live. I'm your host, Sammy Glantz. This week we have on UCSD's very own Maddy Lewis. Thank you so much for coming on.
Sammy G, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Maddy and I played together my sophomore year at UCSD, and that's when I first originally met her. But what I didn't know about her was that she first started playing softball on an organized team, correct me if I'm wrong, but your sophomore year of high school.
For softball, correct. That would have been my first year making the transition over from baseball.
Yeah, so that's absolutely incredible. I feel like that's definitely not a story that you hear every day. So why did you start with baseball originally instead of softball?
Yeah, so I have an older brother, and when I was younger, I always wanted to follow in his footsteps. And I mean, still to this day, of course, I look at him as an idol. And so, yeah, my parents enrolled me in T-ball, and there was no reason for me to ever switch over.
Competing against boys your entire life, and then now you're transitioning from boys to girls now, softball. How was that transition like for you? Was that your first time just in high school, or did you play travel softball, or what was your first experience with that?
Yeah, so I started playing baseball when I was probably 4 or 5 and just continued up the ladder, played Little League and played travel baseball with an organized guys team. And like I said, like these guys are like my brothers to me. And, I was, just as good or even better than some of them. So the switch just, it just was never a question. I was going to be playing baseball. And so eventually when sophomore year came around, I realized, there was going to be more opportunity with softball if I wanted to continue playing in college and, get a scholarship. So that was the reason why I ended up switching over. But it was definitely a challenge. They're very different games, and it took me a little bit to get adjusted to it for sure.
Yeah, you touch on, the differences between the sport. I mean, the obvious one is boys and girls, but what about, pace of play or the rules or the ball? How about that? Like, how is that transition like for you?
Yeah, so the ball you mentioned was definitely a big one. I mean, the baseball is pretty tiny. The field is bigger in baseball. So yeah, definitely like the pace of the game was a big difference. In baseball, there's a lot of downtime and it's not moving as quick for sure. The field's bigger, like I said, and it just allows for more time to kind of relax almost. So yeah, making that transition, I struggled, and it took me a while to really get used to it.
I don't really think you struggled. You were pretty freaking good. I'm just cracking up because when I came in my sophomore year to UCSD, I was transferring from Utah, and Maddy comes in and she's a freshman. And so we were friends pretty much off the bat, which was awesome. I think it's because I was enrolled in all of the freshman classes. But that was always a good time, just having, class with you. And then we would go to, 6 a.m. weights and then workouts and practice. It was like I was a freshman again. So it was definitely fun to be able to do it with you. And we had 7 other freshmen that year, right?
Yeah, 7 other. I came in with a class of 7 and then plus you. So 8 total.
That was a fun year. But that year too, you go on to absolutely ball. And now you're named CCAA Freshman of the Year, which was so incredible. I felt like a proud big sister when we were at the award ceremony. But can you kind of take us back through that year? And you obviously thrived, with all the transitions and on and off the field. So what was kind of clicking for you that year?
Yeah, so I think, just going back to the question between softball and baseball, like the principles remain the same. The game, the mental IQ and all that remains the same. So I think coming in my freshman year that, there's no expectations. You got the scholarship or you got into the school that you wanted and you're just able to have fun and enjoy the game for what it is. No one knows any stats about you. The coaches aren't able to really develop a game plan with you yet, and you're just able to go out there and have fun with this new environment and this new scene. So I think, yeah, that was just the main thing for me, just going out and enjoying it, and just, you know, being with people that have been growing up playing travel ball, and we finally are on the biggest stage. You know, we made it to college softball, and now we can just ball out, like you said.
Yeah, that was an awesome year. And then we go on to regionals, which was such an incredible experience in itself. But your senior year, you guys had the opportunity to go to the World Series. That's absolutely incredible. Can you kind of take us through that year and all the magic that just kind of was on that team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it truly was magical, like you said. I think the fact that, you know, it was my senior year, and to go through the 4 years and close it out that way, like, I couldn't have written up any better. We were pretty successful throughout the regular season. We won the CCA regular season championship. And so we got pretty hot going into postseason. We were able to host regionals, came through the losers bracket, defeated Chico State twice, which, you know, anyone at UC San Diego knows that's huge. And to do it on home turf just kind of made it more of that fairy tale feeling. Going on to supers, we went to Concordia Irvine. We just got hot at the right time, and everyone was playing well together, and everything just came together perfectly. And yeah, just to finish it out and go to the World Series. And just looking back, like, it was like the pinnacle of my softball career for sure.
Every softball player's goal is to play on that stage and be in that moment. So that's absolutely incredible that you guys made it all the way. Can you kind of touch on how impactful playing for Coach G and Coach Millsap was on you and your experience there? I know I am forever grateful, you know, for them kind of taking me in and just kind of letting me be a part of the team, especially so late to transfer for me. So I'm always grateful for that. But can you kind of touch on them a little bit and what they've meant to you?
Yeah, I think Coach G and Coach Millsap, they've been, you know, my number one fan from the beginning of when I was being recruited to when I came in as a freshman, and they were with me to grow with me over my 4 years. And I think, you know, I'm very grateful for what the game of softball gave me, but I think in particular the program that I went to, the family culture that is, you know, just ingrained in my head and with the people around me, and the fact that they care about you as a person outside of a player, I think that was huge. And yeah, like, I know I'll always have them to lean on in the future, and they're always rooting for me. So yeah, I couldn't have been more grateful for the program that I went to, and just so grateful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of touched on it, but from my experience, you know, I came in and, like most college students, we didn't really know what we wanted to do after. And I really liked how the fact that they always pushed you to follow what you want to do. And I remember Coach G let me miss practice to go on a field trip at a news station. And that forever, you know, kind of changed my life. Can you just kind of touch on the fact, or just going to such a prestigious school like UCSD, what was that experience like, you know, balancing your future, your current, on and off the field and in the classroom?
Yeah, so UC San Diego is obviously very well known for its academics, and I think throwing in the athletic part of it added this challenge that, you know, not too many people are able to maintain and keep up with. So coming out of UC San Diego with a degree from such a high caliber institution, I'm set for life. Like, it's what I do with it now that will kind of guide me to reach my goals in the future. But yeah, just the support that I got from, like I said, the coaches, my teammates, the athletic department, everyone on board. Yeah, it's, you know, I'm ready to take that next chapter and carry what I learned at UC San Diego into the future.
Absolutely. And we're always grateful to have had the opportunity to attend that school. you had the opportunity also this past summer, I believe, to try out for the U.S. national baseball team. Can you kind of tell us more about that experience and going back to baseball? Like you're such an amazing athlete to be able to do both. So props to you on that. But can you kind of tell us about that experience?
Yeah, so I got the invite probably a couple weeks after I graduated. And, I was contemplating whether or not I should do it. And my family was, we were going abroad for the summer. We went to Portugal and Spain just to kind of like celebrate graduation and just take a family trip. And so I when I came back from that trip, I was, there was probably like 4 days in between, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. Like, I got nothing to lose. I would be guilty if I didn't give myself a shot. So yeah, it was like a developmental program in Dallas, Texas, and they were looking to fill 3 spots because they kept their original roster, and so they were just looking to fill 3 spots for the upcoming Paralympic Games. And so, yeah, that was a pretty amazing experience. I flew out there not knowing anyone, and just tried to go back to my roots. And it was definitely a challenge again, playing baseball, switching to softball, and then going back to baseball. All the same challenges was there, but also, the same foundation of the sport remained the same. And so that was amazing just to go out there and give it a shot.
Yeah, and competing against some of the most incredible athletes. Are you still in contact with some of those girls? Did you, meet any really cool people that kind of stood out to you there?
Yeah, so I played with 2 of the girls on a all-girls travels baseball team when I was
Sweet.
14 years old. So that was kind of cool to reconnect with them and see how far that they've gone and see their success. But I was also able to compete against Kylie Lawners and Alex Hugo, which were softball players that I idolized growing up and played at big name schools. And they were just people that, their names were always in the headlines and that sort of thing. So just to be able to be on the same field with them playing baseball, that was an amazing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now as we kind of look ahead, I think that's something that you and me, we always we have our deep talks on the beach and over dinner or whatever we like to do. And I think we can both say that we are eternally grateful for softball and what it's given to us. But what do you think are some of the biggest strengths that you've gained from playing the game?
So I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that I started so late. It kind of just shows that there's a place for everyone out there, for little girls out there that want to play softball, and to go through the stress of being recruited at such a young age these days. I think, my example is kind of just shows that there's a spot for everyone. And as long as you put your mind to it and, keep working hard, like something is going to turn up for you. And so, yeah, I think was one of the big takeaways. And also just, of course, the lessons that I learned from the game, the time management, the ability to deal with diverse individuals with different backgrounds and leadership qualities, all that plays into the character that, the person that I want to be and the characteristics that I want to uphold moving forward.
Yeah, no, for sure. We wouldn't be here without that, so definitely grateful for all the skills that we've learned on and off the field. We also had some of my favorite softball memories, especially coming from that year in particular. I think I kind of already was setting myself up for my life after softball, but just being with you every day and all of our memories, staying late for batting practice. I remember we made Coach P stay late and give us reps because we weren't ready and we had regionals the next day. Do you kind of remember any of those times, at regionals where we would just, talk about hitting in the dugout? Or I remember we even had some times in the hotel together that we would just kind of break down old video. Do you kind of remember that too?
Yeah, definitely. You're always a pleasure to have as a teammate. I know like you didn't
Oh my
come
God,
in
thank
with
you.
our recruiting class, but we treated you like you were part of our recruiting class, and we were able to, be new to everything together. I think our mindset with the game and our mentality with hitting and just that beast mode kind of thing, like we really shared that in common. And one memory that sticks out the most is we were rooming together at Monterey Bay,
Oh no.
and we came off like a rough weekend, the weekend before or the series before. I think with hitting or whatever it was. I think we might have split the series. And so we came back to the hotel after dinner and we whipped out our laptops and we were just looking at game film, hitting videos of like Albert Pujols, Manny Machado, and looking at the ways that they break their swing down. And we're like, all right, this is what we need to change. And I remember
Mhm.
that, you know, distinctly. And the next day, like, I remember I hit a couple doubles and that'll forever remain stuck in my head.
No, I totally remember that too. And it's like, that's so much fun. And that's still what I do to this day. I'm like a freak about breaking stuff down like that. But I love that part of the game. And I love that the fact that baseball and softball swings they're, to me at least, they're so similar. Did you kind of feel the same? Like, what was there any difference in hitting, or what did you feel like?
Yeah, I think, there's arguments for both sides probably. Um, the angle of the ball is definitely a big difference of how it comes in and, the way that you're supposed to attack it. But I think for the most part, they're very similar. And I was able to carry over like my baseball swing to softball and make a little adjustments here and there. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that go hand in hand with each other for both sports.
Yeah. Do you, just to kind of maybe tease something maybe brewing in the future, do you see yourself possibly getting back involved in the game of baseball, playing or coaching or even reporting, or what do you think?
Yeah, so sports have been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember. So I'm definitely hoping to remain in the sports industry as my career goes on. In terms of playing, it's not out of the question, but I'm not actively pursuing it right now. But let's say an opportunity comes up down the road, definitely give it some thought.
I think this year too, I don't know if you've been hearing about it, but Alyssa Nakin, she's the coach for the Giants. And so I think she was the first professional baseball coach that was a female. So it's definitely awesome to see, that there's more females, coming into the man's world of baseball and in the sports industry in general. So it's definitely an exciting time for that. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think that's you're seeing more and more of that to this day, and I think looking back on starting with baseball, I was breaking barriers without necessarily even knowing it, and it's still a challenge that women are facing today, just being in the baseball world for sure. So I think the fact that there are females that are coming in and making a difference, like it just goes back to what I was trying to stand for when I was 10, 12 years old.
Yeah, that's incredible that you were doing that at such a young age. And like, I know you, and you were just one of the boys, and you were probably better than all of them, so that just kind of shows your character. That's always who you've been. Did you get any pushback? Did you get any, from any parents or teammates or kids on the other team? Was there any experiences like that for you?
Yeah, so I think, there was probably a little bit here and there, but from other experiences of females, it didn't compare to anything what other girls have gone through that I've heard of. My community, my hometown community was very supporting of it, and I did have an older brother that had gone through the league, like little league. So my family was known, but at the same time, like I said earlier, I was as good or better than some of the guys, and so they didn't really have the chance to be like, no, you can't play. So
Yeah, you're
um,
a number
yeah,
three
I
hitter.
think Yeah. And I also like developed, the guys on the team, they had my back 100% because they knew that I could keep up with them and they knew that I was one of the better players. So yeah, I didn't necessarily have any pushback that I can remember that stands out, but I know there are instances out there. And I was just fortunate enough to not come across too many.
That's good for sure. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but can you tell us more about how much your brother has meant to you? He's just been such an amazing mentor to you and so supportive, and you always kind of trying to follow after him in his footsteps.
Yeah, so I mean, my brother in particular, but my entire family has been so supportive of my athletic career, and just doing whatever they can to get me to where I want to be. But for my brother, I just remember, going to the cage with him and with my dad too, because my brother played baseball in college as well. And so it was kind of just the three of us that would go out, take ground balls, take some BP. But yeah, there was this one time that comes to my mind that my brother and I went out for ground balls and hit one a little too hard and it hit a rock and boom, my nose was broken right after. So, it happened, but I think it made me tougher, and it's a good story to tell. But yeah, like you said, they've just been, my whole family, my brother included, so supportive, and I wouldn't be where I am today without them for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely love your family. I remember whenever we would go on trips and stuff, our dads would always be linked up. So we would all go out to dinner or just talk about the game and always breaking down our at-bats. So that's always our dinner talk. So.
Oh yeah, I definitely remember those. Just that baseball mindset, they were able to connect on a different level.
Yeah, always. All right. Are you ready for our little speed round? I didn't tell you about it, but this is a thing on the show.
All right, hit me with it.
All right. Choose one. Coffee or wine?
Coffee.
Need it. 3 cups a day, at least for me.
Love it.
It's probably not good.
Immediately in the morning. Don't talk to me without it.
Requirement. All right. Beach or snow?
Beach, obviously. Look at my background.
All right, that was a stupid question. I should have read the room. So that's just my bad. All right. In honor of baseball season, who is your early World Series winner pick? Actually, it's not even early anymore. Who's your World Series winner pick? Let's go.
I gotta go Padres.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm a big Giants fan. I just don't think they have it in them this year. Dodgers are so good all around, but I don't see it happening for them. I'm sorry. So I got to go hometown Padres. I think they're really onto something with Slam Diego. It's going to come through.
Let's go. We got to get you a Slam Diego shirt.
Please.
Thank you so much for coming on. Love you always. You're fantastic. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. That was a lot of fun, and good luck moving forward.
Thanks, you too. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Sammy Glantz. For more content like this, check out HeyBucket Live on YouTube and FastPitchFilms.com.